And good morning, everyone. This is Basood here, Senior Director Enterprise and Alliance from Seclo. Thank you so much for joining us on time, and I hope everyone is safe and healthy. Welcome to the webinar on Empower Your Customers to Collaborate Securely While Working from Home. Nowadays, we have been hearing from a lot of experts that after COVID-19 epidemic is over, the way we see the world is going to change. There are a lot of changes which are expected. It may include the way we behave, the way we do business, and so forth. And most of you must be seeing on a lot of social networking sites, one of the biggest question is work from home will be going to be the new norm? Yeah, these are tough times for all of us. As a corporate social responsibility, Secular also wants to contribute and give back to the customers. Keeping that in mind, we are going to launch some offers for our customers, which resonates with our webinar topic today. With this, I would like to go ahead and introduce to our speaker, Mr. Hridayjit Singh. He is our Director, Asia Region. And before he starts, the duration of the webinar will be about 45 minutes. Hridayjit will take about 30 minutes to do a presentation, and then we will open up for Q&A. Request all participants to post their questions at the question tab, and our experts will be responding to their questions. And for those who have just joined, welcome you all. And with this note, I will hand over to Mr. Hridayjit to start the webinar. Over to you, Hridayjit.
I apologize for this inconvenience, guys, but we've had some trouble with Hirdijit's uh, software. So this is Zubin. I am the director of product at Saklor, and I'm going to stand in for Hirdijit. I hope you're able to hear me now, and we'll try and get uh, this started. And here we go. So essentially, we've been going through over the past several weeks has been a real massive global disruption, the kinds of which a couple of generations hasn't seen. It is much more serious than anything that we've ever planned for. Any natural disaster that typically backup and continuity management processes are created for. Any war or recession like the kind we have seen a decade or so back. So something like this was unprecedented, mostly unplanned for. The kind of disruption that it has caused is something that has never been thought of could ever happen. Right? What has happened to businesses is essentially the world has been split into two parts. Most businesses find themselves on the wrong end, on the losing end, where their revenue has either significantly reduced, has been cut right down the middle, or they're basically struggling to even have a business or a value proposition. Some of these are tourism, leisure, aviation, manufacturing, certain verticals. There are some businesses who have come out winners. Some of these online e-commerce firms, of course, pharma and healthcare, a couple of other, more entertainment that is online, stuff like that has been, on the winning side of it. But essentially, all businesses are seeing disruption. Whether they're losers, there's obviously disruption. Even if they're winners, they're seeing massive, uh, uh, you know, trouble in their supply chain. There's lots of challenges on trying to meet customer demand. So essentially, even those who benefit from this situation face a lot of disruption. They have to sort of go back to the drawing board, and there are challenges all around uh, in this situation. Of course, this is a crisis, and we want to help our customers, our associates, tide over this. So we are coming out with a special offer that is available until September this year, 2020. We're saying that we will make Secure automatic protection available for free uh, for unlimited use to protect all kinds of data repositories. So a lot of enterprise data repositories that today are exposed, that do not have enough security controls. Uh, we are trying to help all our customers secure those. So automatic protection for file servers, for enterprise email servers, for data lying in Office 365 repositories, document repositories like SharePoint on-prem, IBM ECM on-prem, all of these backed up by a secure policy server provisioned in the cloud. Right? So Secure has a secure enterprise cloud, uh, and we are certified. We have all the controls in place. We today have customer base on our uh, secure enterprise cloud. It's hosted in Amazon Web Services. So this is the main announcement that we wanted to make today. We are making this available absolutely free for unlimited use until September this year. Now, we also want to empower you to be able to have this conversation and, to give you a little insight on how this can help our customers. So right now, there is a lot of, there is only work from home, right? Everybody has been forced to work from home because we are in the lockdown and a large part of the world is in the same situation. So IT teams have had no option, no time, no planning time to put in place any kind of structure or any kind of governance mechanism. We've all just been asked to stay at home and just keep working. So their current focus, almost all enterprise IT teams, their only focus right now is to enable the workforce. Somehow get people to be productive um, at the earliest possible. We know to our own experience, we're not the largest of companies, but to our experience, how tough and how challenging it was. It's even more tough and more challenging for large and medium-sized financial services, manufacturing companies, all kinds of verticals who never really thought that this could ever happen. So what have IT teams and CIO done? First thing, they've just said, let everybody just be able to access their data from home. So everybody is enabled on VPN. Essentially, some executives and management staff will have laptops already, office assigned laptops or devices, but a large number of people lower down the hierarchy don't have it. So they're just logging in through their home computers and laptops. What has happened is the enterprise network that was very controlled, that had a very strict governance mechanism, is now extended to all kinds of unmanaged devices that are not owned by the organization and controlled by policies of the organization. And a lot of connectivity is home Wi-Fi, people just using whatever they use to browse the internet, or their personal email is now being used for corporate email. It will nowhere near meet the corporate expectations, controls, uh, and compliance norms, right? So the enterprise network has basically gotten completely fragmented to all kinds of unmanaged device and personal networks. So there is a couple of threats of this situation, and we want to walk you through how we can mitigate those threats. So one threat is that all the file servers that were only ever provisioned or expected to be connected from a sanitized enterprise network are now being used from public networks, from personal devices, right? So people can copy data locally. Once they copy it out of the file server, there is no control over that. All any Excel file or any other kind of unstructured data that is stored on file servers typically. So that's something where Seclore can help. So what is possible with Seclore hot folder server is that you can predefine a IRM rights management policy on a particular folder. Any files that are dropped in that folder get protected automatically. Whenever a file is picked up and copied locally or sent out from a local machine through email or any other means, those security controls will stay on that file, right? So the security persists and sticks to the data, regardless of where the data goes, regardless of any copies you make, regardless of even if you make a Word file, a docx file, copy and save as a PDF, the security on the PDF stays exactly the same. You can control exactly who has access to it, what they can do, edit, print, take screen capture, copy data out. All of those controls are always persistent on the file. And then, of course, you can add more advanced controls of date and time expiry, or even location controls. Right. So this is a very powerful solution. It essentially removes the threat on all data lying on file servers. It's automatic. End users just use the file server like they always used to. MIS team can drop their monthly, weekly reports in their normal reporting shared folder, and salespeople or people in business who need to use them, they pick them up. They use them as they anyway would. Excel file opens in Excel, no disruption. So, and at any point, if there is some misuse, if someone trying to copy data out or someone is trying to give it to somebody else, then that will all be blocked. Another threat is, of course, with enterprise email. Most security experts will tell you this, that one of the if I have to share a file with somebody else within the organization, and this is not happening over an internal network, the worst way to do that, or the most unsecure way to do that, is to share it over email. Like email technology was never built really to be secure. It has a lot of add-ons are required to make it secure. So now that enterprise emails are being accessed from home, almost everybody is doing it over a public network. A lot of people who are technically savvy can actually read those emails unless it is secured using some mechanism. So in this solution, basically we allow enterprise email to be routed from the enterprise ecosystem, even if it's on the cloud or whether it's on prem, to our email auto protection service, which is also hosted in our cloud. The emails get protected automatically along with their attachments. So everything in the email, the message, as well as the attachments get protected automatically in our email auto protection service. You can define rules on what kinds of emails you need to protect, only from a specific sender, only the finance team, only the payroll team, only data going to a specific vendor, data going only to say my auditor or my legal counsel, or even data that is being received from a specific partner can be protected. You can put rules on like the subject content, and there is a lot of flexibility and dynamic rule definition that can be done. Another strength is the way it integrates seamlessly with DLP. So your content filtering rules in DLP can tag the email, and Seclore can pick up that tag. Seclore email auto protection can pick up that tag and then apply specific permissions or specific access controls depending on what DLP has found. So if it is credit card data, then it should not be going out. It can only go to the credit card, processing vendor and nobody else. Those kind of rules can be applied automatically. If it's board memos, then it needs to go to specific email IDs only, and nobody else should be having access. Even if the email is forwarded to somebody else, they will not have access. And of course, email access is seamless within the Outlook desktop app for external users, partners, business partners, etc., or outside the outside the enterprise network. They can access it directly in the browser. So the access and opening of the email is pretty seamless. Uh, The third threat is to data in the cloud. So a lot of cloud data repositories were controlled through either forward proxies, reverse proxies, etc. When they were accessed through the enterprise network. Um, However, now that they are opened up for use from anywhere, those controls tend to sort of have limited or no use. So in this case, we have our especially for enterprises that are on O365. A lot of enterprises are on O365, even though they don't end up using some of the services like SharePoint Online and OneDrive service, but they have it. And a lot of times the hurdle for them to use it is the security. So what we will now be having very soon, we already have capability to seamlessly integrate with their identity with the SharePoint Online Identity Federation, that is their Azure AD. We are also now coming out very soon in the next couple of weeks with automatic protection for their document library. So what can be done is that if there is a project group, 30, 40 people using a specific document library for collaboration in SharePoint Online, it can be automatically marked for protection, and any data that is accessed or downloaded from that will be automatically protected. All the permissions will be federated. So what that means is essentially the permissions to the users in SharePoint will be the same permissions that will be persistent on any data downloaded from SharePoint Online as well. So even if I pull out a PDF or pull out an Excel sheet, I will only have access to it as long as I have access to it in SharePoint Online. If the team is restructured, people are moved out, if I don't have access to that file in SharePoint Online, I will not have any access to the downloaded data as well. So even if I have hundreds of files downloaded, if I move on to another team or another function, I will not be able to access anything that I don't have access to in SharePoint Online. So it's a very powerful way to extend enterprise controls that are already there in the cloud repository to the data downloaded from the cloud repository as well. Right? And all of this is also available, in native app. So Excel, opening in Excel on the local machine, as well as directly online in the browser itself. So that was about cloud data repositories. A lot of enterprises also tend to have bulk, historical and archival information sitting in document management systems, which are been used for decades at times. These DMS tools like SharePoint on-premise or IBM ECM also have been exposed now to allow people to access them from home. So the same kind of protection that I spoke about on cloud repositories is also available already out of the box with our SharePoint connector. Um, all of the same capabilities, identity federation, policy federation, accessing it in native apps and in the browser. A big part of our solution, revolves around automatic controls and automatic protection. Essentially, the threat for most information security teams tends to be the end user or the weakest link in that chain. in the security chain, because end users tend to have their own personal biases. Sometimes they are not aware of processes. So trying to depend, over depend, let's say, on end users to follow processes, to remember what you taught them, and to ensure that data is used only in the way it is supposed to be, is always a very, very challenging task. So that's why the automation that we bring, and we've always believed in this, the automation, of these security controls is critical. And essentially, once you automate, then you remove the most vulnerable threat vector, which is the end user. You don't have to depend on them to remember, to be aware, to not make mistakes and manual errors and things like that, right? And anyway, there's no time in this crisis to try and train people and validate those trainings, or there is just no time for all this. When it was difficult in normal times, it's even harder in these times, right? So automation is the key. Remember, when you're talking to customers, to push that thought and that idea. One last point is that there are many security tools available in the market. There are various ways in which the same kind of controls or compliance can be met. However, many times these tools require a lot of change. They need you to pull out your existing infrastructure, modify the way users are using their systems. And usually today in these times, information security teams, IT infrastructure teams don't have the time and the inclination to do that. So they're looking for bolt-ons, add-ons that work with whatever they're already working with, right? So that's where something like Secure is extremely valuable, because it adds on to their existing file servers. It adds on to, if they're using any cloud repositories, it adds on to whatever they're currently using in document management system. It doesn't need there to chop and change components. Works with email servers both on-prem as well as in the cloud with Exchange Online or any other email service, right? There is agentless access, so that this complex rollouts to endpoints and all is not required. Even if users want a native experience, they can install an agent, the Secure agent, that allows you to access those files directly in the native apps like Excel, Word, Adobe, etc. And they can do this all self-service. Users can do this by themselves. They don't need admin permission to install the software on their machines. So that's the power of the technology. um, if they do roll out and install agents themselves, they get automatically upgraded. IT teams don't need to jump through too many hoops to apply new updates and patches. There is central tracking that ensures that all the agents are healthy, and if there's any trouble on any endpoint, the IT administrator can find it in a central console. So it's really easy to manage, set up. There's no overhead. Most of the production is automated. Secure's cloud infrastructure will make sure of keeping it up 100%. So there's no real overhead on the customers as well, right? IT teams don't need to do a lot more. And that's something that they will value a lot. So make sure that message reaches them. So what we spoke about was the offer, which was those few connectors and some provision policy server in the cloud. However, there is a lot more in the Secure data centric security platform. We integrate with several classification tools, DLP tools, governance and reporting technology. So there's a whole lot of things in the Secure platform, which is also available, besides what is available in the free offer. And that's the value of the platform, that you can bring all of this to bear and work with whatever the enterprise has already invested in today, and add on sort of data centric security, which makes sure that it sticks with the information, persists with the data, and tomorrow the enterprise will still have control in case they decide that they want to recall all the information that's sitting on all these unmanaged devices. They can do all of that in 2 months from now. There's various ways in which our solutions team can help them. We have a full-fledged services function as well. Our customer success team works with customers, and they have deep insight in terms of how technology can be brought to bear to solve the business problems, right? So there's a whole universe out there besides what's there in the free offer as well. And if the solution is right, I think enterprises will be happy to adopt. For any more details, please get in touch with our channel manager, Sonali Shetish. Email ID, I think most of you will already have. Our contact details are on screen, and we'll be happy to share them with you as well. That's what I had essentially. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now.
Yeah, Zubin, there are a couple of questions. So I'll just read out for you. So if you can answer those. The first question is, who will be the target customer? Enterprise, or we can offer this to SMB customer? The basic question he wants to understand is there any minimum licenses which the customer needs to subscribe for?
So yeah, there are no real restrictions or limitations in what is the size. I mean, we're happy with larger enterprise customers, but we do have SMBs in our customer base as well, and for them it makes complete sense because we manage all the infrastructure and take ownership for uptime, etc. So yeah, please feel free to speak to your channel manager and chart out a strategy.
Okay, and there is one more question. It says that what is the professional services charges to the integration with applications like file server and email?
Actually, we work directly with infrastructure teams. There's not too much in terms of configuration. It all depends on what specific environments we are working with. But in most cases, it's not very extensive kind of configuration requirements. They just direct, some traffic towards our secure cloud. But get in touch with your account managers, and they'll be happy to help you.
Yeah, and just to add what Zubin has mentioned, we are going to do a lot of webinars and sessions for the customers who are interested in subscribing to our services. So during those discussions, we'll explain them how these services will be given to them. So thank you, Zubin, for this great session and letting us know about how Seclor could empower customers to work from home securely. And thank you so much for everybody who has given us time and joined us today. Due to some technical issues, apologies for that. We have to delay the session for some time. And if you have any additional queries, you can write to Sonali. And what we will do is we are going to share the recording of this session with everybody. And please give us feedback about this session to all of us. And thank you once again. Have a great day. Stay safe. Thank you so much.